Something historic happened in the night of 26th February 2019 when Indian Air Force's Mirage-2000 aircraft crossed the LOC and dropped bombs on the terrorist camps in Balakot, Pakistan post the Pulwama terrorist attack. On the following day, an unprecedented aerial dogfight over the skies along the LOC ensued. Pakistan Air Force sent a strike package of F-16s, JF-17s and Mirages to cross the LOC. Pakistani F-16s fired multiple AMRA missiles, which was evaded by the Su-30 MKIs that engaged them. However, the MiG-29 Bison aircraft that was scrambled by Wing Commander Abhinandan Bardhaman to intercept the intruding aircraft went down after being hit by an AMRAAM. Abhinandan was held captive in Pakistan for close to 60 hours before his repatriation to India. You are aware of the incidents of 26-27 February 2019. The reason behind mentioning these events is that though India's airstrike deep inside Pakistan was a huge strategic win, but the events that followed did expose some vulnerabilities of Indian Air Force. In this video, we are going to discuss a very important aspect of the larger picture: Indian Air Force's Fighter Conundrum. Is IAF headed for a historic low? Hello guys, I am Saurabh and welcome to the ARC. Role of any air force in the world primarily boils down to defense of the country's airspace and to mount attack on the enemy and support the army and navy in case of a conflict. To perform these tasks, there are various assets that the air force utilizes, but the most important one is the fighter aircraft. Indian Air Force currently operates fighters of multiple types, some Russian origin, some French, some from the UK, and a small number of indigenous aircraft. Now let's take a look at IAF's fighter fleet. First comes the MiG-29. Designed in the 60s, the MiG-29 was the first supersonic jet to be inducted into the Indian Air Force in 1964. The MiG-29 jets are well past their prime, and their retirement was supposed to start from the late 90s and end by 2010. But with no new jet induction in sight, Air Force decided to upgrade the MiG-21s to 4th generation standards, now to be called as the Bisons. The legacy jets that earned the Flying Coffins label because of its poor safety record and frequent accidents would be phased out of IAF service completely by 2025. Srinagar-based No. 51 Sword Arms Squadron, of which Group Captain Abhinandan Bardhaman was part of, was number plated in September last year. After this one, 3 MiG-21 Bison squadrons remain active in the Indian Air Force, to be phased out in the next 2 years. Next is the Anglo-French Jaguar ground attack aircraft. 6 squadrons of the type are currently active in service with the Indian Air Force. These were also built by HAL in India under license from the British. Then comes the French Mirage-2000, one of the most trusted aircraft by the Indian Air Force. Mirage has proven its worth time and again, seeing action in Operation Safed Sagar bombing of Tiger Hills during Kargil War to Balakot airstrike in 2019. Air Force operates 3 squadrons of the type, and all of these are also upgraded to the modern 4th generation standards. Then comes the legendary Russian MiG-29. Originally designed as an air superiority fighter during the peak of Cold War, the MiG-29 transformed itself into a multi-role fighter later. IAF also upgraded its MiG-29 fleet to UPG standard with new radar, avionics and EWS. IAF currently operates 3 squadrons of the MiG-29 aircraft. Then comes my favorite, the big, heavy Su-30 MKI, the Indian standard for the Russian origin air superiority fighter. IAF procured 272 Su-30 aircraft, most of it assembled in India by HAL. It has 12 squadrons of Su-30 MKIs, 12 more Su-30s that were lost to crashes over the years, and 21 more MiG-29 UPGs were also in the pipeline for order, but it has been deferred possibly due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war. IAF also plans to upgrade the Su-30s to keep them battle ready with modern day technologies. The upgrade will include a new radar, EW suite, etc. But in what numbers?
The upgrade program is work in progress. We have to continuously review and refine the ASQRs for the upgraded Su-30. We have decided that this upgrade will be done indigenously with a plethora of indigenously designed weapons and airborne EW systems on board. So we are looking at upgrading 84 aircraft in the first tranche.
Then comes the Dassault Rafale from France. 36 of these advanced 4.5 generation omni-role fighter jets were delivered to India in 2015 after a government-to-government deal was signed. The Rafales arrived at a very critical juncture, just as the conflict between China and India was at its peak, post the Galwan incident in May 2020. Now these are based in Ambala in the north and Hashimara in the east. Rafale is one of the most advanced fighter aircraft in the world, with advanced avionics, AESA radar, an array of air-to-air and air-to-ground missiles like Meteor, Scalp, Hammer, etc. There was also an India-specific enhancement clause in the deal for the jets. But these are pretty expensive. IAF, however, should look for ordering more Rafales as the ISC cost has already been paid and the maintenance and support infrastructure is ready. So the next batch should be cheaper. But is it going to be a repeat order of 2-3 squadrons or through the new MRFA route? Only time will tell. Last but not the least, our very own light combat aircraft Tejas. The LCA program was launched in the late 80s as a replacement for the aging MiG-29 fleet. But the project was delayed for various reasons, including the sanctions imposed on India post the Pokhran 2 nuclear tests. Tejas is the smallest and lightest in its class of fighter jets, yet an extremely capable one. Built with carbon fiber composites, it has a modern glass cockpit, fly-by-wire control system, capable of in-flight refueling and firing BVR missiles, etc. Its first flight was conducted in 2001, got IOC in 2011 and FOC in 2018. IAF currently operates 40 LCA Tejas MK1s in 2 squadrons based in Sulur, Tamil Nadu. Now that we have covered all the aircraft types, let's take a look at the numbers. And this is where things become worrying. The Air Force's assessment says to fight a two-front war with China and Pakistan simultaneously, which could very well be a possibility in the future, considering the geopolitical developments in the region, it needs 42 squadrons of fighter aircraft. IAF currently has 31 active fighter squadrons against its authorized strength of 42, a shortfall of 11 squadrons and roughly 200 jets. The MiG-21s are now retiring, 1 squadron per year. So total squadron strength will go down to 30 next year. On the active order front, the Tejas Mark 1As will be inducted 2024 onwards, 16 jets per year. So the new induction won't increase the total squadron numbers, but will only compensate for the MiG-21s. Things look grim 2025 onwards as the Jaguars start retiring. Also, the Mirage-2000 and MiG-29 aircraft will be at the end of their service lives by the end of this decade. With no LCA Mark II in sight and the endless uncertainty surrounding the MRFA, it seems no new jets are going to be inducted before 2027, barring the already ordered LCAs. Squadron numbers are falling rapidly, and IAF is headed for a historic low number of 28 fighter squadrons in 2027. Listen to what the Air Force Chief has to say on the matter.
With the given numbers, it might be impossible to maintain a 24/7 combat air patrol or an air defense watch right across from Sir Creek to Siachen and further to the east. So the numbers definitely are essential. 42 will remain. Like I said, I know that it is a difficult goal to achieve in the next few years or maybe in the next decade or so. But we will review it only based on the situation that arises in our neighborhood. Based on the current situation, based on the mandate given to the Indian Air Force, I think it is essential that we need to build up the numbers.
Contract for 83 LCA Tejas Mark 1A, which is a slightly improved version of LCA Mark 1, was signed for 47,000 crore rupees in February last year. It will feature a new AESA radar, onboard oxygen generators, more BVR compatibility, and a few maintainability upgrades. Live Feast recently reported that HAL is in talks with the IAF for an additional order of 50 LCA Mark 1A after the 83 jets are delivered. The Cabinet Committee on Security sanctioned 9,000 crore rupees for LCA Mark 2 program in September last year. HAL CMD, indicating delay in the program, recently said the aircraft prototype will be released in 2025-26 and first flight in 26-27. It will take another 5 to 6 years for testing and certification of the aircraft. So the LCA Mark II won't go into production before 2032-33. As per the design specifications, the LCA Mark II would be a bigger and advanced avatar of LCA Mark I with 4.5 generation capabilities, higher fuel carrying capacity and hence range and endurance, advanced radar and avionics, higher payload and missile carrying capacity. The Air Force has committed to order 6 squadrons of the type. IAF is in a quest to induct 114 multi-role fighter aircraft from a foreign OEM, for which AON will be issued shortly and RFP after that. MRFA sounds all good, but it is eerily similar to the MMRCA. IAF, wary of reduction in squadron strength, decided to go for the multi-role combat aircraft competition. RFI was issued in 2001, but the RFP was not released till 2007. Then in 2008 started the technical evaluations of 6 aircraft: the F-16, FA-18, Gripen, MiG-35, Rafale and Eurofighter Typhoon. After a long drawn process, Rafale emerged as the winner of the competition in 2012. Then price negotiations started, and delay in the project caused cost escalation of almost 100%, but it could not be resolved and ultimately had to be scrapped, and government went for 36 Rafales in a government-to-government deal in 2015. Now coming back to MRFA, the LCA Mark II will have similar capabilities as per the IAF's MRFA requirements, but the delay in the project has opened the door wide open for MRFA program. 8 foreign fighters are in the fray for the MRFA contest that includes 3 fighters from the US, the Lockheed Martin F-21, an upgraded version of the legendary F-16 fighter aircraft, the FA-18 and the legendary fighter F-15, then the Eurofighter Typhoon, French Rafale, Swedish Saab Gripen and the Russian Su-35 and MiG-35. Did I say MMRCA 2.0? Listen to the Air Force Chief on MRFA.
The quest for getting a 4.5 or 5th generation MRFA aircraft continues. We have analyzed all the RFI responses. The ASQRs are being finalized. We were seeking more commitments from all the OEMs for ensuring the indigenous content and the Make in India provisions are adhered to by all the OEMs. So that is work in progress. AMCA is India's ambitious 5th generation stealth multi-role fighter aircraft program. Not many countries in the world have built and operated aircraft of this type. Currently only the US, Russia and China build 5th generation fighters. AMCA project was launched in 2010 and preliminary design was finalized in 2015. AMCA will be a twin-engine single-seat variant with all the 5th generation characteristics like stealth, internal weapons bay, etc. The project awaits CCS approval to start prototyping. It will take 7 years for its first flight and another 4 to 5 years for testing and certification. So its induction will not start before 2035. IAF has committed to order 7 squadrons of AMCA. As we discuss new fighter aircraft induction, it is also important to mention the S-400 missile system. India signed a deal to import 5 squadrons of S-400 system from Russia in 2008 for $5.43 billion, despite the risk of US CAATSA sanctions. S-400, one of the most advanced SM systems in the world, has been inducted by the Indian Air Force recently. One unit is already deployed and another is in process. S-400 would be a game changer in India's air defense capabilities. It also reduces the need for point defense by interceptor aircraft. Keeping the fighter strength aside, IAF has a good long-term roadmap with respect to force multipliers, like AEWCs, aerial refuelers, I-Star platforms, BVR missiles, etc. We will discuss all this in a separate video.
Given its huge geographical expanse and long disputed borders with two adversaries, India needs fighters in the sky to defend its airspace. Like Stalin said, quantity has a quality of its own. In case of a conflict, numerical advantage can play a vital role. Also, buying and maintaining a bigger aircraft like say Su-30 is expensive and cumbersome. That's where aircraft like Tejas Mark 1 and Mark 2 come into picture. They are cheaper, easier to maintain, and are advanced in all aspects, but have a few capability and range limitations. There can't be more emphasis given on indigenization, because that gives you strategic autonomy, especially during conflicts. But delays in indigenous projects, aging fighter fleet, and shrinking squadron numbers have become a huge concern for the Air Force. Capability gap is also increasing, as China has been inducting 5th generation aircraft in its fleet in a rapid pace, and they may supply those to Pakistan in future. India's defense procurement process is truly broken, with endless RFI, RFP, RFQ and procedural delays. For 14 years, the MMRCA deal could not be fructified, and in the process jeopardize India's national security. It's about time the Indian Air Force, Ministry of Defense, DRDO, HAL all need to pull up their socks and find ways to deal with these alarmingly low squadron levels, and induction of new 5th generation fighter aircraft as soon as possible, considering the rapidly changing geopolitical dynamics of the region. Indian Air Force is a formidable force, and it must remain so. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you soon with a new video. Thank you.